flexion right side bending. So it will be the left Z joint. So this time, imagine that's 3, 4. My thumb is going to be over the 4, and my finger will also be over 4, because when I use the weight of the head and I let it sink into my hand, if I'm on C4, what is the U joint motion? It's going to sink backwards, right? So it's going to be an implied. So with extension rehab, we offset our fingers to fix the Z joint and also produce a cell glide of the U joint. Whereas when we're doing a flexion quadrant, our fingers are on the same segment, the same vertebra. Because when we do that, we're over the Z joint of C4, we're over the transverse process of C4. That was going to give us a cell glide in the Z joint and an imp glide in the U joint. That's why I said, you know, sometimes you get these little mental puzzles going on. Okay, so in this instance, we were going this way. So once again, I'll start in neutral, and I will say, okay, hold, don't let me push your head down, relax. So I'm going up into hold, relax. I'm going into the quadrant with the agonist movement. Once I think I've got as far as I can, then I'm going to say hold, let it come back, slowly, hold. Now we'll take it back to the barrier again, hold, let it come back, bringing it back to neutral, hold, so on. So there's our eccentric, so I can bring in the antagonists now, hold, resist me as I lift your head, but let it come, that's good, and stop, and now let it come backwards, slowly, stop, hold, let me bring it up again. So there's, again, exactly the same pattern. Isometric first, then isometric eccentric. And then finally hold, now push into my thumb, hold, now push into my finger, hold. So now I'm doing the concentric of both. So now we'll put all the stuff together. Don't let your head drop, let it come back slowly, stop, and now lift up, hold, let it come back slowly, stop, hold, bring it up. Now makes you realize how weak your muscles are. But she comes by it honestly because she's got enough pathology in there for a village.
Oh, thank you.
So same pattern, so you don't get lost. First thing, the agonists, the ones that are taking us into the quadrant, because they haven't been there for a long time. And then once we're in the barrier, then we can start saying, okay, hold, now let your head come back towards neutral, hold, and bring them back. So we're always doing isometric, eccentric first in the agonists. Then we pick on the antagonists. In this case, it will be the ones coming back into neutral, the extensors. So then we're doing isometric, eccentric of both agonist and antagonist. Then we focus on concentric. Not that you're going to tell the patient that, they'll get absolutely confused. Then we bring in, focusing in on the concentric activity of both agonist and antagonist. And then we pick on one. Okay, let's look at the agonists. Hold, let it come back slowly, stop, now bring it back. So now we're going isometric, eccentric, concentric of the same muscle group. And as Brett and Stacey have experienced, we don't realize how weak our neck muscles are sometimes. Mainly because we're not doing enough activity that would strengthen them. You know, the only time we really use our neck flexors is getting out of bed and getting back into bed. You asked me about sternomastoid because you could see it working hard, and I said in that instance that's great because we want it to work hard, because this isn't a global exercise for the flexors. This is a individual segmental rehab. In some articles, you're going to see people emphasizing, do not let sternomastoid contract. And it's like, okay, that is the strongest muscle in the neck. Why don't we want to bring it into the mix? Invite it to the party. We don't want to leave it out. So initially when you do that, you remember we got that far yesterday where we were working on the craniovertebral flexors, hold it, now let it come back, and so on. So once we've got that far, we can say, okay, just do your chin tuck, tic-tac. And that's it. No pushing down, no lifting up. And from this position, I want you to imagine that you're trying to move your chin to your chest, but don't actually move it. Now she's tightening up longus colli. Sternomastoid is still relaxed, can feel that. And now I say to her, just lift a fraction of an inch off, but keep your chin tucked in and down. Once that's strong, now we bring in sternomastoid, and to bring that in effectively, it's like, okay, brace first. Now lift your head off to the right, good, and down. Now lift your head up to the left and down. So much more global retraining. And once you've done that, it's a good idea to advise the patient, if you ever think you're going to be involved in an impact, head-on or rear-ended, what you do is that exercise. Tuck your chin in, brace, and then hold your chin right onto your chest. Because now, when you've done this first, sternomastoid crosses the line of the joint of flexion and extension, crosses the axis at C2, which means everything from C2-3 down, sternomastoid is now a powerful flexor. When you've got a forward head posture, it crosses down at C6, so it's an extensor for all the joints. But here it will be a flexor, and although when you brace, if you do get hit, you're almost certainly going to tear some of the fibers, so it'll be a little bit painful, but it's going to be a hell of a lot less painful than if you get a rim lesion or even get a facet lesion.
Visit us at aspireomt.com.